Welcome to today's maths lesson. In this lesson, we are going to be measuring mass. So that is the weight of things. We're going to recall the terms used for measuring mass, and at the end of this lesson, you're going to recognize and identify how to measure the mass of different objects. For this lesson, you will need the words measure, mass, heavy, heavier, light, and lighter. So let's begin. We're going to be using non-standard units just as we did when we measured length. Okay, so we're going to learn how to measure mass using non-standard units. Okay, so what is mass? Mass is how much of matter is in an object. So whether the object is heavy or light. Okay. Now, a man would be weightless in space, and even though he has the same mass on Earth, so in space he won't have any weight, but on Earth he will have weight. So that's just an interesting fact. Okay, so what do we mean by non-standard units? Non-standard mass units can be anything you find to measure the mass of an object. Here are some examples of what we can use. So we can use blocks, we can use pencils or colors, and we can use erasers. You can even use some marbles. Okay, can you think of more items in your classroom that you can use to measure the mass of things? Go ahead, try to think of some. Here are some objects that we thought we could use to measure mass. Glue, staplers, scissors, and even maybe books. Okay, now just like when we measured length, there were rules. The same goes for mass when measuring mass. We have some rules. So the first rule is the unit of measurement we choose must be the same and not a mixture of objects. So we have to measure mass with the same objects, not different objects like this. And the second rule is that the objects that we use to measure must be the same size. So here we chose the same object, but now here they are different sizes. This is wrong. Over here, they are all the same sizes, and that is correct. Okay, to begin measuring mass, you'll need a balance. Now, this is what we call a balance. It is a scale that tells us if something is heavy and something is light. When the balance of an arm is when the arm over here is at balance, that means the same length, then both the objects are equal. Okay, they weigh the same amount. So what is the mass of this toy train? So how many blocks are equal to the mass of the toy train? So as you can see, the mass of the toy train is equal to 6 blocks. Okay, let's try it with another one. Now, the balance is not level. Can you tell me why? Well, because now we only have 3 blocks here. So we can see that the toy train is heavier than the blocks because there's only 3 blocks here. And the balance is not level because the toy train is heavier than the 3 blocks. Okay, now let's look at some more examples. Can you tell me what is the mass of the frog? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can say that the mass of the frog is 4 blocks. What would happen now? Let's put our thinking brain on and tell me what would happen to the balance if we took away 2 blocks. So we have 4 here, now we took 2 away. So we're doing some bit of subtraction and we took 2 away, so now we have 2 left. Now what do you think would happen to the balancing scale? If you guessed that the balancing scale would go down on the frog side, you would be correct because then the frog would be heavier than the 2 blocks, not the same. Okay, let's look at this. What is the mass of the mouse? Let's count. 1, 2. So the mass of the mouse is 2 pencils. What is the mass of the bird? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we can say that the mass of the bird is 4 pencils. Now you can think, if we were to take 2 pencils away, what would happen? Who would be heavier? The bird would be heavier. Excellent. And if we were to put 2 more pencils, which side of the scale will be heavier? The side of the pencils. Very good. So at the moment they are equal. Okay. Let's look at this. What is the mass of the snail? What is the mass of the snail? Can you tell me? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So the mass of the snail is 3 erasers. Okay, now why don't you try to measure measure mass using non-standard units at home? Try with different objects and measure it with other objects that you can find around the house. We have come to the end of today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Assalamu alaikum.